What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to be taking a little bit of a look at another very nice Transformers character that has been revealed from War for Cybertron Siege, Wave 4. Now this was revealed by the lovely Suzanne at 425 Suzanne over on Twitter. She had some reveals for Wave 3, she's had some reveals for Wave 4 as well. Suffice to say, she's a lady you probably should be following on Twitter. So, let's have a look at Private Greenlight, shall we? And Private Greenlight is a very, very exciting character. Let me explain, shall I? So starting off then with the stats, we have an 8-cost character, which is average. It's about what we're expecting. It's about what we're looking for. It's fine. Lends itself nicely to a free wide deck. And in terms of stats, we've got in bot mode, 4 attack, 12 health, 1 defense. And in alt mode, 3 attack, 12 health, 2 defense. So in alt mode, you get 1 less attack, 2 more defense. These stats are fine. They're a smidge lower than we'd expect for an 8 cost in Wave 1. But as I've said a few times, the average stats have been lower since we moved away from Wave 1. Okay, but what does it do? Well, in bot mode, it's got a very nice skill. When you play a green icon card, this gets +1 attack until end of turn. And here, presumably, we're going for the same ruling as we had on Thundercracker back in Wave 1. Now, Thundercracker, Mac Warrior, had +1 attack until end of turn when you play an action. But the rule with Thundercracker is that that does stack. So if you can play multiple actions, you can have multiple boosts. Well, the same thing here, except this is a card, not an action or an upgrade. So just in your turn generally, except for right at the beginning of the game, you should be playing an action and an upgrade if your deck is built right and running right, unless you're doing something weird. Sometimes we play really action-heavy decks, but generally speaking, you're looking for an action and an upgrade, which means that actually you're not looking at an attack of 4, you're looking at an attack of 6. And actually, an attack of 6 goes a long way to making this a really good card. I mean, 6 is high. Grimlock from Wave 1 has an attack of 6, and Grimlock's a 10 cost. Now, to be fair, Grimlock also has the amazing ability whereby if you overkill a character, if you do too much to get a KO, your opponent has to direct it to another character. So it's not necessarily a completely fair comparison. But the point here, very simply, is that you can really boost your attack. And then again, there's nothing to stop you doing extra stuff. So okay, Brainstorm doesn't have a green icon, but Brainstorm lets you play 2 actions. 1 card, 2 actions. So you can play Brainstorm, and then you can play 2 actions with green icons, and all of a sudden you've got +2, whereas you should really have been only getting the +1. Or you've got stuff like Wave 2 Bumblebee, Trusted Lieutenant, where when you flick into alt mode you get to play an extra action. That's kind of cool. Or maybe something like Wave 2 Megatron, Arrogant Ruler. When you flick into alt mode, you get to play an extra upgrade. And if you can manipulate the game to play extra actions and upgrades, and those extra actions and upgrades have green icons, you can be boosting your attack. It's going to be awkward, but there's nothing to stop you getting kind of 7-8 attack from this on particularly good turns. So this is pretty gosh darn good. But we need to have a look at alt mode here, because alt mode gets even better. In alt mode, we've got this new skill that we've seen on a couple of characters in Wave 3, like, for instance, a new Hot Rod. I said Wave 3, I mean Wave 4. I love the new Hot Rod. The new Hot Rod makes me very happy. And what it means is that while undamaged, it cannot take more than 3 damage, maximum of 3. Now, as I've said pretty much every time we mention this, what we're really looking for is whether they've ever got the stones to give us Safeguard 2, in which case you're undamaged, play a medic. Oh, then you're still undamaged, okay. And you can just never take really any kind of damage. It means you get 2-hit KO, but it means it's basically always a 2-hit KO. There is no 1-hit KOing here, though your opponent could play something like a heavy landing to do just a little bit of damage and then go and get a big KO, that would be alright. But you start in ult mode, you're protected in ult mode, it really is a nice skill. And if you can play enough healing, you can keep this on the field for a very, very long time. But I think more interesting here is the other part of its ult mode skill. This character's upgrades can't be scrapped by your opponent's cards. Your upgrades are safe, and when it says cards, it means things like Vaporize, which is an action card that will scrap an enemy upgrade, or Bashing Shield, that sees quite a lot of play. But it also means any character skill that would otherwise get rid of one of your upgrades cannot do so, with the exception of something like Inferno. Because you see, Inferno is a little bit different. Inferno doesn't scrap your upgrades. Inferno, when it flicks into ult mode, returns all upgrades on a character to its owner's hand. You can still remove them, but they cannot be scrapped. Again, the wording here is extremely important. Disarm is an action card that would do this as well back in Wave 1. So, if you've got something like that, they can be taken off, but then they can be reattached, but they cannot be scrapped. And that's amazing. It can obviously be scrapped when it gets KO'd. Obviously, that would be really weird. And the first thing you should all be thinking about here is Battle Masters. You see, Battle Masters are spectacularly powerful cards. They are transformers that when KO turn into an upgrade, like how Private Lionizer turns into RS Fire Steel Saber, which gives Bold 4 and Plan 1. The problem is, as soon as your opponent gets rid of it, then it's gone. That's a bit of a problem. You can't use it anymore. Now, you can always use Quartermaster to get them back, and that is an option, but then you got to find your Quartermaster, and it's your only action for the turn. Although, what is quite nice is that Quartermaster puts the upgrade on, so it's not your upgrade for the turn, though it very much is your action for the turn. Well, here you don't need to play Quartermaster, so your action's back, and there's another 1 to 3 spaces in your deck that you're not putting for Quartermaster, and now all of a sudden this is looking very nice indeed. It means you can put these kind of things on and your opponent cannot get rid of them. It means that you've got Bold 4 with Private Lionizer, and you can rely on having Bold 4 with Private Lionizer. What's really cool here is that in Wave 4, we've actually seen our first ever upgrade in terms of Battle Master, which is an armor, and our first ever Battle Master, which is a utility, which means that you can now potentially have 3 Battle Masters on here that you're not getting rid of. Now, in terms of a utility, it's Raider Sight that turns into Multi-Maneuver Glider Wings, which gives you +1 attack and +1 defense, and it gives you Focus 1. In terms of armor, because, we need an armor as well to complete the set here, otherwise that's just rude. It's a fun little piece of headgear, of all things. It is Private Vanguard that turns into Anti-Ballistic Turret Helmet. When you put it on a character, you do 1 damage to a tapped enemy, and it gives you +2 defense. Now, the way the stars actually shake out here, Private Lionizer sits there as a 7 cost, although there are many weapons. Doesn't have to be this one. I've got another one I really like, more on that in a moment. Raider Sights is a 6 cost, and Private Vanguard is sitting there at a 5 cost. So Vanguard and Sights are 11. Add that on to Greenlight, which is there as an 8, and you're up to 19, which does give you 6 stars left over for a weapon, which couldn't be Lionizer, unfortunately. Now, the other thing to remember is we've got 1 utility and we've got 1 armor at the moment. There's nothing to say we won't get more of them. Although, to be fair, the only armor we've got is a 5 cost. It doesn't get a huge amount cheaper than that. But the point is, there are likely to be more options in the future. The point I'm making here is that you can actually get free Battle Masters on here, knowing that they aren't going to be taken away, boosting all of your stats, giving yourself all of these skills, and your opponent cannot get rid of them other than KOing Private Greenlight, which is going to be difficult when you're boosted by 3 different Battle Masters. One I really like here is Private Dazzle Strike. Now, what's cool about Private Dazzle Strike is it actually is a 6 cost. So you could, for instance, play Dazzle Strike along with Raider Sights and Private Vanguard. And it gives you +3 attack, and when you put it on a character, you repair 3 damage from it. When it's removed from a character, you do 3 damage to the character, and okay, if you actually find anyone playing Disarm or Inferno, that will activate and give you the 3 damage, but that's not something we see very much at the moment, so you're unlikely to be taking that 3 damage. It's not that Battle Masters will stay there forever, because I've given you examples of how they can be removed. It's that they're not removed by widely played cards, and the chances of them going away are kind of slim. And this is far from the only way to play it, but let's say you've got Shadow Steel Iceblade and Anti-Ballistic Turret Helmet and Multi-Maneuver Glider Wings all onto Private Greenlight, then all of a sudden you've got +4 attack, you need to be in alt mode so that you can't have them scrapped, and you've got +3 defense, so all of a sudden you're sitting there with 7 attack, 5 defense. That is a beastly character, not to mention that you've done 3 damage when you attach Iceblade, 1 damage when you attach the helmet, and you've got Focus 2 as well. That's an archetype in and of itself. So either you can stick this in bot mode, play a bunch of green icon cards, and be smashing in that regard, or you leave it in alt mode, play it with a bunch of Battle Masters, and really take advantage of the fact that it cannot be scrapped by your opponent's cards. I really like Private Greenlight. This one, it's kind of 2 different decks in one. I don't think you would use both of these skills hardly ever. It really does need to be one or the other, but I think both of them have a huge amount of potential. But I'd like to know what you think, ladies and gentlemen, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk games, which is fun. Oh, and do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can get some bonus podcasts, support the channel, etc. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.